Good afternoon, shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. Coming to you on a day where the weather here in Jerusalem has actually been nice and sunny, but it's getting more clouded and colder now, and I put on a turtleneck and I'm wearing my hoodie, but it's actually a cold that's coming from inside. And if you would stick with me, I would like to just for 5-6 minutes explain to you what's happening in Israel and what's going to happen tomorrow, because it's a very, very difficult and challenging time. As you probably already have heard now, tomorrow the modern day Nazis in Gaza, Hamas, is going to release the bodies of 4 dead hostages. We are still in phase 1, and in that phase the agreement was that the bodies of 8 dead hostages is going to be released tomorrow. It's the first 4, and then next week 4 more. You have probably also heard that Hamas has released the names of 3 out of those 4. Naturally, it hasn't been confirmed from Israel, and that's why I'm not going to mention the names, except saying that it's the family that the world has been watching. What's the fate of this mother and her 2 precious boys? So tomorrow we still don't know at what time, but it's going to be like the other weeks where Hamas is going to meet with the Red Cross, and then it's not going to be alive hostages, but it's going to be the bodies of 4 dead hostages that's going to be delivered from Hamas into the hands of the Red Cross, and we don't know under what circumstances. The other weeks we have seen these reprehensible, really vile and propaganda ceremonies where our hostages has been paraded amongst hundreds of evil terrorists before they were handed over to Red Cross. God willingly, it's not going to be anything like that tomorrow. They are going to state something so demonic. So the bodies of these 4 is going to be handed over to the Red Cross, and then they're going to go and meet IDF forces inside the Gaza Strip, and they're going to have a short ceremony with a rabbi inside Gaza. They're going to put the bodies in coffins draped with Israeli flags, and then they're going to go into a forensic institute in Israel with the best forensic team in Israel is going to identify the bodies of these 4 people. That could take up to 48 hours. We don't know how long it's going to be. And when the identification has been made, the families of those 4 dead hostages is going to be informed. And then we will see if and when the news is going to reach out to the media. But like I said, the Bibas family, mother, father, and 2 precious young boys were brutally assaulted and kidnapped into Gaza. Tomorrow, the whole world will know if it is indeed that mother and 2 precious sons. I haven't spoken about it because the Israeli government, the IDF, said please don't spread rumors because we still don't know the identity. So that is what's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be a very, 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 very difficult day. When we know the identities of the hostages, I want to address more of it. I want to speak more about it. But as of this moment, out of respect for the hostage families, all of them, I'm not going to say more. But now you know that that is what's going to happen tomorrow. The other weeks, the hostage handover has been happening in the morning, and they expect that that might also happen tomorrow. Rain is going to be expected throughout the country tomorrow, so naturally that is reflecting how we are all going to feel and what we are all going to be crying tomorrow. I think the God of Israel is crying tomorrow for what we are going to have to see, and if indeed it is that precious mother and her 2 babies. Yeah. I don't know how we are gonna cope with that, but I will get back to that tomorrow. I also want to say that This is tomorrow, Thursday. Then on Saturday, Hamas is going to release the remaining 6 hostages who is still alive in this first phase. 2 of those hostages, and this is probably something you don't know, that you probably haven't heard about in your mainstream media, but 2 of those hostages has been held inside Gaza for 10 years. 10 years. These were 2 Israelis who, according to reports, had issues, mental problems, and they wandered into Gaza, and instead of being released back into Israel, Hamas kidnapped them, and they have held them hostage for 10 years. So they are going to be released tomorrow together with 4 people who was brutally abducted, kidnapped into Gaza on October 7, 2023. So it's very, very, we all want the hostages home, but the price, I'm not going to go into it, I'm just going to explain a little bit. In order for Israel to get 4 innocent civilians home, and they are coming home in coffins, and 6 alive hostages, we are talking about 10 hostages. In order for that to be released tomorrow, what does Israel has to do? They have to release 602 terrorists. 602 terrorists and 445 people from Gaza who was arrested after October 7, and 157 prisoners will also be released, including 50 serving a life sentence. And those terrorists who was released in 2011 when we had the Gilad Shalit deal, where Hamas had kidnapped 1 Israeli soldier and kidnapped him and dragged him into Gaza for 5 years in order to get 1 Israeli soldier out. 1,027 Arab terrorists had to be released, including Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, who planned the October 7 attack. So 50 of those has been rearrested. They are also going to be released tomorrow. Including some of these terrorists, or some of the terrorists who's going to be released tomorrow. One of them murdered Chaim Chavi, 78 years old, Alon Goldberg, 51, and Richard Latkin, 76, in a bus attack, a bus bomb here in Israel several years ago. For me, it's becoming personal because a dear friend of mine, a co-worker, his name was Ari Folt, he was out shopping for his family at a supermarket when he was brutally stabbed in the back by a young Arab terrorist. And Ari managed to chase down this terrorist and shoot him before he killed, or before he got the chance to kill any victims. But Ari passed away. He was brutally murdered in a terror attack on that horrific day in 2018. So yes, we want the hostages home. Absolutely, we want them home. But in order for getting innocent civilians, including babies and Holocaust survivors, that was kidnapped in their home, that was kidnapped in the street, that was kidnapped in their car, that was kidnapped in a music festival, dragged into the dungeons in Gaza and being abused and starved and raped and tortured for more than a year, for more than 500 days, in order to get these innocent civilians home, what does Israel, among other things, has to do? They have to release terrorists who have murdered Israelis in horrific terror attacks. What kind of sick, crazy world is this? What nation has to be put to pay such a price? 602 terrorists, 157 prisoners, 445 people arrested in Gaza, including people who have held hostages in their home. Instead of an army who went in with full force and just took out these modern day Nazis and all of their sympathizers and liberated. Now Israel has to release terrorists who has murdered so many innocent Israelis. Where is the logic in that? It is absolutely horrific. So it's mind-blowing that we are in such a situation. It's very, very hard to describe what's the roller coaster ride we are on, the feelings, the trauma, the heartache, the anger, the desperation that this nation is put in. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So my heart goes out to the families of the hostages that we want home. My heart goes out to the families, including my friends' families, who lost their loved one, who was brutally murdered in a terror attack for only being Jewish. And now they have to see that these terrorists who murdered them are going to go free. And these terrorists are coming out as millionaires. Some of them has hundreds and thousands of dollars in their accounts because they murdered Jews in terror attacks. So it's very, very hard, and that's why I'm look tired, and because we are crying, we are traumatized about being in this situation. And tomorrow, God forbid that Siri, Ariel, and Kefir Bibas are gonna come home in coffins. Plus one more hostage. And in order to get them home, I'm sorry, and to get 6 live hostages, including 2 who have spent 10 years in Gaza, held by these modern-day Nazis, Israel has to release more than 600 terrorists who has murdered Jews. I mean, it's just, I can't find the words, so I'm sorry. So that's what's happening. It's a very, very difficult time here in Israel, and we will see tomorrow when the hostages has been identified. And naturally, the minute they are going to be handed over from the Red Cross to the IDF, they can see, are we getting bodies of 4 adults, or are there 2 bodies of 2 adults and 2 small ones that are children? And then forensic examination will reveal the DNA, if it is the Bibas family or some sick diabolic plot from Hamas and deliver someone else. We don't know, and that's why I've been quiet out of respect for the families. But that's the situation. So it's going to be a very, very difficult day tomorrow. And of course, families tomorrow are going to be notified that it is your precious beloved who arrived home in a coffin, and there are going to be funerals taking place here in Israel very, very quickly before Shabbat. So I will do my best to keep you updated. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, right in the midst of all of this, heading out in the rain. So pray for Israel. Pray for the Holy Land. Pray for the Jewish people. After all what else we have been through, this is what we are going to go through tomorrow. Horrific day tomorrow. Understand me right, no matter what names are coming out to be identified, it is 4 precious souls who was kidnapped alive, who's coming home in coffins. And then on Saturday, 6 hostages being alive is going to come home. But at the same time, while we are happy that they are coming home, families are going to watch as their murderer, the terrorist who murdered their loved ones, are going to go free and be celebrated and glorified, including the deplorable terrorist who murdered my good friend Ali. So it's a very, very difficult time, and that's why I look tired. So if you would pray for Israel and all of us, we really need it for such a time as this. Bye.